My expectations for the Buffalo Bills versus Chicago Bears, coming right up on today's edition of the Dom Mafia Report. Yo ho ho, Dom Mafia. Welcome to yet another edition of the Dom Mafia Report. As always, it is your boy Dan Mitchell giving you my expectations going into preseason week 2, kicking off this week on Saturday. Much like last week, we're probably going to be seeing a carbon copy of a lot of the Bills personnel out on the field as we travel out to Chicago to face off against the Bears. It really seems like Sean McDermott and the front office have this goal to keep our starters as healthy as damn possible by giving them limited to essentially 0 snaps this entire preseason. As many of you know, Josh Allen is not going to be out there. Stephon Diggs is not going to be out there. I think Singletary is going to be sitting this out, and a lot of our major defensive and offensive weapons. So essentially, it is yet going to be another dress rehearsal and tryout for some of the personnel on our current roster that is fighting for a spot. But that doesn't mean that there aren't things that I really want to see. In fact, I'm going to go on ahead and name 3 things that I really want to see from the Buffalo Bills perspective and how I think this Chicago Bears team is going to test that. Before I dive into any of those specifics, I do just want to go on ahead and I do want to give just one quick announcement. Everybody always asks me, Dan, how can I support your channel? I love your content, big fan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the best way is simply by smashing the out of that like button. Legitimately slapping it across the face until it turns blue. Say, for example, that you ever want to go the extra mile, Patreon is the way to do it. I have a bunch of super cool tiers with a bunch of super cool benefits. You not only get exclusive content once a month on Patreon, but you also have an opportunity to hop on my live streams with me. That's including hopping on during my live game reactions during halftime to either bitch, which I hope is not the case, or completely celebrate and be an arrogant asshole with me online. It's definitely a cool thing. Check it out. Say that it's your cup of tea and hit that link in my description and then join the Patreon family. If not, it's completely fine. I am just thankful that you fools watch my content on a regular basis. So first thing that I am looking for against the Chicago Bears is, first off, the quarterback play. Once again, as I said during the pregame before the Lions game this past week, it's clear that Josh Allen is not going to be seeing the light of day this game, or in my opinion, probably the entire preseason. So this once again gives Mitch Trubisky an opportunity to prove to us all that he is about to be our second string quarterback. And what's not a test? During the Lions game, I'm not going to lie to you, I wasn't as impressed as I wanted to be. I mean, I'm not expecting this guy to come out here and play like a starting caliber quarterback. Unfortunately, he's already proven that it didn't work out with his time at the Bears. But I still want to have some type of peace of mind when I know that he takes snaps during the regular season if, God forbid, Josh Allen were to go down. And this week on Saturday is going to be the ultimate test. A lot, because this has some personal ramifications on Mitch Trubisky. He's going against his old team, a very, very good defense, which probably won't see the field very often, if at all. But what I'm looking for with Mitch Trubisky is to not only make an improvement and build off of what he did against the Detroit Lions, but I also want to see if he can set aside that personal vendetta that he has with that organization and still play well, still rise up to the occasion with working with a lot of the receivers that we have out on that field. Now, granted, I mean, obviously Diggs won't be out there. I'm pretty sure Cole Beasley is not going to play. I think Gabe Davis will probably be super limited. So we're going to be working with a lot of, I would say, bottom tier receivers. So it's going to be interesting to see how he lives up under the pressure and to see whether or not that he'll be able to make a step in the right direction that will give me and all other Bills fans peace of mind in case something shitty does happen going on into the season. Number 2, our defensive line. And y'all knew this past preseason game against the Lions, I was getting a hard on watching how effective our youth at the defensive line position was performing. Now, granted, we were going up against, I would say, probably not the most mobile room of quarterbacks out there, led by Jared Goff, of course. We are getting an entire different quarterback, and to see whether or not that our QB pressure rate will be affected whatsoever. We are going to be facing an Andy Dalton, who is not mobile by any means, but he's a polished passer. I'd say it's probably going to be around the exact same as competition against Goff, but really what I'm looking forward to is seeing us play against Justin Fields, specifically from our defensive line perspective. We all know that we're super hyped about Basham. We're super hyped about Gregory Rousseau. I really want to see his speed off of the edge, especially if Fields elects to run as often as he did during his first preseason game. I want to see our defensive line's speed on display and overall getting to the quarterback, because the Bears' offensive line starting, at least like I said, don't expect to see them on the field much, is going to be an upgrade, I would say, from the Detroit Lions, which is probably going to be something very good. So I think that this is going to be an additional test for our defensive line. I want to see our speed on display, and I want to see our overall effectiveness, especially against an entire different play style of quarterback that we are about to be seeing on Saturday once Fields ends up taking snaps. Last but not least, Zack Moss. I am definitely going to want to see how Zack Moss performs. As you know, he was injured for a little bit. He sat out during the first preseason game, and it was mostly the Devin Singletary show. Singletary during preseason week 1 ended up flashing. He ended up, sort of giving Bills fans peace of mind that it seems like that he worked on a lot of the issues that he was struggling with last year in 2020. Granted, it's the preseason. We really don't know how that's going to translate, but I did want to see the exact same thing from Zack Moss. Zack Moss, toward the second half of the 2020 season, ended up showing significant improvement, but then unfortunately he ended up getting hurt in the playoffs, so we really didn't get to see that final area of progression during those last couple of games. I want to see whether or not that he has made improvements. I want to see if he is going to be the guy that could potentially be our RB1, right? There's a lot of speculation even before training camp and before week 1 that Moss very well may take over the number 1 running back spot. Y'all know that I think the Bills will and probably will be for the foreseeable future a running back by committee room. But as far as dominating snaps, we're going to have to see who ends up winning that over, whether or not that it's Singletary or Zack Moss. Also, I do want to see Breida continue to make those progressions into an entire new offense. It's sort of split down the middle. Some Bills fans weren't impressed with Breida, and others were. I just so happen to be in that latter group. I want to see Breida do a bit better. And let's just put it this way, that the Bears have a tremendous defense, and even from a depth perspective. So if our running backs can really perform against a defense like that, regardless of the fact if we're going up against their starters, second or third string, it's going to be something I'm going to be watching very closely, and hopefully at the end of the day give me peace of mind. Dom Mafia, thank you so much for tuning in to yet another edition of the Dom Mafia Report. And if you haven't already, you better smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you want to join the Dom Mafia and become part of the family. And before I let you go, you better always remember, let's go Buffalo.